Free trade is dead, at least according to someone that gave a talk that I attended last year. Now, for many of you who have attended many of my talks to business groups this year, just within the first 2 months, you will know that I strongly disagree with that statement. In that context, it was really describing international trade, the buying and selling of goods and services across borders. But when we look at what free trade really means in its classical sense, free trade has not existed since the 20th century. Yes, you heard that correctly. Hi, I'm Dr. Sarita Jackson, President and CEO of the Global Research Institute of International Trade. It is important to understand what we mean when we use different terminology, starting with free trade. Free trade, in its classical sense, refers to this idea that when countries get involved in the free trade market, it is a win-win situation because it helps their economies to grow, where one country will specialize in a good that it is able to produce efficiently, sell it to another country while importing those goods that it is not able to produce efficiently. And the key thing is the government does not have a role in the global economy. But when we look at free trade in the 20th century, we see where the government has intervened, which gets to my very first point about why free trade has not existed since the 20th century. Is when we look at the opening of markets, closed markets, and back to opening of markets, on each of these trajectories, the government has been involved. And to learn more about the historical details of these transitions and the role of the government in establishing international institutions, setting rules that govern international trade domestically, check out my first book, which is a link below, and it also describes the impact on the competitiveness of industries, different countries, and regions. Which leads to my second point, is that what we have today, instead of free trade as defined by its classical definition, we have more of managed trade or regulated trade, which gets to what I just described, the establishment of institutions and rules that govern trade, determine who has access to which markets and under what conditions. Well, thank you for joining me on another episode of Trade on Tuesdays at 2.